Hello and welcome back to RimWorld. Last time we managed to finally complete this nice defensive wall we have here. We've got the geothermal plant sort of getting built. We're pausing that for just a second so we can get the component assembler done as soon as possible. We've got all of our farms being tilled by the nice people in our colony. Gabe and Bradley doing pretty good work over here. And overall, the colony is going pretty well. I mean, we've survived quite a bit, and quite frankly, it does not appear as though we're going to die against anything anytime soon, which is usually about the time when we die from something vicious and terrible. But, you know, it'll be under control. Don't worry about it. We're not going to die unless we open the antediluvian chamber, which, as usual, as per standard protocol, I'm very tempted to open again to see if we can actually do it. It's a very bad idea. I know, we're not going to be able to do it. We just don't have enough people yet. Plus, you know, it's a logistical nightmare to open that thing. It's crazy. We have to get two people of relatively similar construction to open a big enough hole to really do work through it. Ooh, vitals monitor. Nice. Now that we got vitals monitor, what are we gonna do after that? I feel like at this point we're gonna have to start working on the actual spaceship, because that is our goal, if you remember. I mean, there is a spaceship out on the world map somewhere. I mean, let's go check it out. I believe it is there one? Yes, there is. Right here. This is a quest marker that I believe leads to a spaceship. I mean, I've never actually gone to one of those. I mean, I will note that it's literally on the other side of the planet, because we are right... Okay, I'm going to level with you. I do not know where we are, actually. I'm sure we're here somewhere. That is almost 100% definitely a thing. Wait, we should be in the middle of the map somewhere. I think we are... I don't know. It's a long ways away, regardless. There we go. We're here. I see. We're the nice teal. And the journey destination is over here. Given that the farthest we've ever gone is this distance, I have this strange feeling that maybe getting out to that position is not going to be terribly easy. I don't know. It's a strange thought, but it's probably the case. Anyway. That is another option for actually getting out to another position. So, I will note, everything seems to be running nicely, except for this one light. Do we need this actually hooked up to power lines directly? Is that a thing? I don't recall that being a thing for these sun lamps, but it could be something, because it seems like we have enough power for everything we're doing right now. Despite the fact that we are also, you know, building a geothermal generator, because, you know, if you have all the power that you could possibly need, why not have a significant quantity more? I don't know, because that's just a waste of power. Ooh, we got a lot of steel down here. And a nice bit of components. Man, there is still a lot of stuff on this map. I mean, admittedly, all of that stuff is steel and components, and there's no, like, gold or jade or plasteel. Actually, plasteel would be really nice, because that is a pretty important resource for the future. But, regardless, we do need to get all that done. So once we get this component assembly built, I think at that point we'll start working on the geothermal generator, as well as actually building this new defensive line, which currently is not at all helping us because it doesn't even exist. And when things don't exist, it's really hard for them to actually help you. Looks like somehow we now have 30 components. How did we get new components? Since when was that a thing? I do not recall ever having picked up more components recently. Regardless, we now have an infinite quantity of components as we are building a nice component assembly machine. We are still also working on an assault rifle that I'm sure will probably be done at some point, but, you know, I wouldn't hold out hope for that one, because it's you know, taking its sweet time there. So in terms of security, let's actually set up some of these sandbags here. We'll get this done first because this is, you know, this is a nice little starting defensive area. And then we'll work on, oh my word, that is not right at all. And then we'll work on all of this. With this defensive line up and running, I think we will be basically impenetrable. Nobody's going to be able to particularly stop us in the course of raids and such because we will have so much power. It will be ridiculous, people. Absolutely ridiculous. And with our defensive walls here, I think these will be a nice limestone just to protect the melee people with these limestone walls. And can we just disassemble these and move them? No, we have to actually completely tear them down. That's fine. The colony is really getting places. I mean, remember way back when, what was it, like 20 episodes ago, when we didn't even have a defensive wall in place? Oh my goodness. This is seriously how great nations are built, on the basis, on the backs of just tiny little huts and such. Great nations are eventually formed, and Gabe was clearly the leader that this nation needed all along. I mean, Rambo wasn't necessarily the leader we needed. Rambo was like the figurehead that gave us hope initially, but in order to actually get things done, we needed someone like Gabe who could do the serious work. And quite frankly, he is definitely doing good work at this point. So we're gonna get that set with Gabe being all amazingly awesome, apparently. I mean, we can't actually say anything bad about Gabe because he'll do terrible things to us if we do. It is a small problem with having a purely autocratic system that if you say bad things about the people in charge, they will find you, and it will be very, very bad. But outside of that, I'm sure it's I'm sure it's a really nice system. Outside of that, no, that's arguable. It looks like there's a bit of a roof over this. Is there a roof? I can't tell. I don't really want the defensive line to have any roof. I mean, it doesn't really make that big of a difference, but, you know, we need a nice, like, uniform defensive line. There can't be any area that is slightly easier or harder to attack, because we want, like, a cohesive defense. It'll be brilliant. Oh, and we got a solar flare. How nice. How brilliantly nice. So with spring in full effect, we should soon enough have actually a very considerable quantity of food given the amount of stuff that we're growing. It does seem that in this particular area there is a very, very short growing season. I don't know if you've noticed, but kind of seems like we don't often have all that much time to grow things. That's fine, I guess. I mean, we haven't had any medicine for quite a while, I don't think, which is sort of a small problem. Just saying. We do have heal root working. Yes, we do. We have 2 entire fields of heal root, actually. So that should get us at least medicine back into the colony. Is it about time that we turn off the heaters? Doesn't seem like that's the case yet. It's still 13 degrees Celsius here. Oh, Gabe, please get Steven in here. How's Steven feeling? Does he want to join our colony? Are we going to have to sell him to pirates? 2.2% chance. Steven, you just want to get sold to pirates so bad. Steven does not want to live a nice and happy life. I mean, that's Steven's prerogative. If he doesn't want to live a nice and happy life, we can't force him to. Well, we probably could. I mean, let's be real here. We could totally force him to do that. But it's probably not for the best. Blotto has food poisoning from eating rotten human corpse. Blotto, why are you eating rotten human corpses? Blotto is, of course, one of our dogs. That is not a good idea, Blotto. We do not condone the eating of rotting human corpses. In fact, we are now actually moving those rotting human corpses out of the general vicinity. It does just so happen that we've had so many dead people show up in the colony that we kind of need to expand our refuse pile. You know, that was the one good thing about occasionally having the entire colony light on fire, that you know, every now and again, you would just have your hut of death just completely destroyed by a fire. I feel like that was useful, you know? Wart is rotting away and stuff. Why is Wart being held in here? No, that's not acceptable. Where are the raw resources? These? No. No plant matter is allowed in here. We're going to copy this. We're going to paste it all over the place. That should be perfect. And I believe this accepts all forms of plant matter. Yes. Okay, cool. So in the future, hopefully wart and hops and stuff will actually go into this storage area. And now that we've actually got our defensive line all set up, time to deconstruct the old defenses. Goodbye, old defenses. I feel sorry for having to tear you down so viciously after you've done so much good work for us. I think we're tearing down a lot of power lines as well, which is probably not a good idea. Just saying, we kind of need those. Oh, and it's an eclipse too. Jeez. Life just seems to want to throw a lot of stuff at us. I mean, in the very least, it's not terribly dangerous stuff, because, I mean, eclipses are bad, but they're not the end of the world. We can deal with that. It's not like meteors raining from the sky, which I'm sure at some point RimWorld will throw meteors raining from the sky at us, because that just sounds like a very RimWorld thing to do. But for now, in the very least, we are quite happy. Ooh, muffalo wool. Oh, nice. She just sheared that muffalo like nobody's business. You know, maybe we should get more muffalo and, like, get a shearing business going. Oh, that's totally gonna happen. Somebody go and tame these muffalos. I don't know who's actually any good at doing, like, taming stuff, but we're about to have 1,500 muffalos. And Fedosha, if you get killed by a muffalo, I'm going to laugh so hard. It's gonna be ridiculous. I mean, you probably shouldn't be trying to tame Muffalo, given that you can't run if you fail, because you only actually have a single foot, which is kind of a small problem when you're trying to run from a Muffalo. Which I imagine, I mean, I don't have much support for this, but I would imagine that a Muffalo is a pretty fast creature. It's big, but I feel like it can deal with its bulk pretty darn well. You know, that's just how a Muffalo do. Okay, we need to get these hooked up to power where possible. Oh, I see. These aren't powered up because we took down that conduit. That's what we need to do. So with that conduit built up, these auto doors will actually start working. And similar to the old defensive line, this is going to be all about allowing our melee people to hide behind these walls until they're actually necessary. And I feel like maybe building a wall there so we just have a single, like, opening here. That should be nice. And maybe, like, you know, you want to... We could close off the entire opening and have this secured. I don't know if that's a good idea. I mean, it wouldn't hurt. There's no reason not to. Let's do it. Let's do it. We're going to deconstruct this. And we're going to put that wall a little ways down. This is going to be the main entrance. And we're going to have a doorway here to allow... maybe not there. We'll have a doorway right here to allow people to get in and out onto this defensive area. This doorway will service both, like, the main traffic. Actually, this one will probably service the main traffic, as well as allow melee people into this area. And then overall, I think it should be quite nice. We'll just close this off. And this will also mean that if we ever get attacked by animals and have to barricade ourselves, which admittedly hasn't actually happened all that much, we have been attacked by very few groups of animals. And those groups of animals that we have been attacked by have not been the most dangerous groups of animals, which is a good thing. We're just going to keep that in mind. That's a very, very good thing. And it is time at this point to actually turn on our coolers where possible. Unfortunately, Steven does not have a cooler and is going to probably suffer pretty severely from the probably terrible heat that's going to be in his room constantly. I mean, that's quite sad, Steven, but if you don't want to join the colony and live in a nice climate-controlled area, I mean, as climate-controlled as we can get it to be, then that is your problem, Steven. It is not actually our problem. Poor Steven, living in a terrible, terrible place. We're going to set up another cooler in this hallway just to, you know, cool things down a little bit more. And with that, we should actually be quite well off. Oh my word, we've done a lot actually. We've just completely revamped our defensive system. That was beautiful. Look at that defense. Oh, that's where it's at. It looks actually pretty darn boring when you think about it. It's just a bunch of sandbags and some walls. I mean, I expected this to be a lot more grand. I thought this was going to be really, really cool. Ends up, it's just kind of like, eh. It's eh. Very eh, actually. Okay. Maybe we need some, like, explosives. Explosives would probably make this significantly less eh. Just saying. Roof collapse. Did you guys really not tear down the roof before you tore down the walls? Really, guys? Jeez. Bradley, are you okay? No, he's just got a cut on his head and apparently initial heat stroke. He should be fine. I mean, there's a cooler right in the actual hospital, which is by design so that people, you know, don't die of heat stroke in the hospital. How you doing, Gabe? Cut to the neck? That sounds pretty bad, actually. I mean, if it's enough to get you hospitalized, that is probably one serious cut to the neck, and is not really the best thing for our great and powerful leader to have. You know, I just realized our farm fields are actually encroaching currently upon our graveyard. I don't know if it's, like, just disrespectful or also, like, bad for the food to have your farms be in a graveyard. I mean, I definitely don't want to eat food that, like, some dude's grandpa, the nutrients from which were from some dude's grandpa. Like, I don't think we use caskets in this colony. I mean, I certainly have never seen a casket in this colony, so I'm pretty sure we just dropped them into a dirt hole. Which, I mean, given our circumstances, given our continued effort to just survive, I'm pretty sure that's legit. That's fine, but at the same time, if we're gonna be having our food right by there, I don't want to eat Mr. McGregor. Just saying, small thing. I'm sure Mr. McGregor tastes absolutely delicious, but that does not sound like a good meal to me. Thank you very much. Okay. So the defenses are nicely set. I think we'll cut the home area along all of these walls, just because we don't necessarily want people going out and trying to put out fires that, quite frankly, are not necessary to be put out. I'm pretty sure these stone walls will never actually catch fire, so it doesn't matter how close someone gets, how close the fire gets to our walls, we'll always be fine. Which is really, that's a pretty serious concern because, of course, there are pretty commonly lightning-induced forest fires, which is just a small issue, you know? The whole lightning-induced forest fire, I consider it to be a rather bad thing, just saying. Okay, so that should constitute what should be our home area at this point, and if we look at it, it is all within the colony, which is perfect. I think we'll also have this, like, inner section also be the home area, because, I mean, it is in our colony. We might as well make sure it's well kept. Very nice. And it appears we actually have a dry thunderstorm now, so we can actually test the whole, you know, our colony won't light on fire due to a terrible thunderstorm-induced wildfire, which is hopefully going to be a thing. It's also hopefully a thing that someone's going to build that door at some point. We did just get enough components. Blotto is currently bringing enough components to finish that door in. And, as I thought, the sun lamp is now actually functional, which is beautiful. We totally did not need the power from that third geothermal plant, but we have it, and so be it. We now have a ridiculous amount of power and a considerable additional quantity of space. I think probably the best thing that we can do with this space is turn it into some farm fields, probably. Because I'd like to keep most of the buildings in the main colony and have this be like a buffer area in case, like, you know, everything explodes or something. I mean, that doesn't happen very often, and in reality, it actually basically never happens, but in the event of everything just blowing up, you know, it's generally best to have a backup, which I guess is here. I'm pretty sure if everything blows up, no amount of backups is actually going to help us in that situation, but, you know, there you go. Oh, nice. Defensive line is formally finished, and with the completion of said defensive line, that will bring us to the end of this episode. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, like and subscribe. Next time, we will continue our work. Our defensive line is all done, but we now need to really start focusing on ship creation, as well as probably, you know, generally making this place slightly nicer. Because, I mean, it's pretty nice, but it probably needs some work, like probably the eradication of the really spooky house. Just saying, we don't necessarily, it's not really a survival thing to have a super spooky hut just sitting out in the farm fields. It's nice, it's probably a good tourist attraction, but not the most practical. Anyway, until then, thanks for watching, and of course, as always, enjoy the rest of your day.